Hello. How's it going, folks? Welcome to the stream. Just getting started here. Going to be doing some more game and profile reviews that we had from the charity stream we did a couple days ago. So got a couple more games, a couple more profiles to review. So it should be chill, pretty instructive, hopefully give out some good advice. I got some good comments about the first day. People felt like the reviews were good, so I'm happy to hear that. This is the last person we did actually. I switched the scene away. All right. Hello, Evan. Hello, Alex. How we doing? Shout out to YouTube. Shout out to Twitch. Let's see. I'm actually ready, more or less, to switch over to this scene. Let me cut through here. Beautiful. This is what we were looking at yesterday, K. Borman. You guys can see that amazing heat map. Tons of badges. High progressing individual. High achiever. So I've got a couple more game and profile reviews to get through. There was one here that was donated, but there was no name, and so I'm not sure who that is. So we'll try to figure that out. Hopefully they come forward. And don't just be like it's me. You know, like we have your email. So you if you have the email that you paid with, or like like the time, like we can identify, we can confirm. But the next person I see that does have their name, there's actually a couple names here. There's Takatora, PB Corporeal, Day 3000, and Poker Vein. So a couple more, or let's call them the let's call that the list. Let's call that the upcoming list. All right, let's find Takatora. Go to scoreboard, search users, Takatora. Here we go. Awesome. Okay, and Takatora wrote a message. Thanks for doing this. Thank you. All right, so this is a profile review. This is Takatora, 1500 cohort, joined November 2023. It's been around for over a year. And love it. Nice. Made the mistake of trying to learn exclusively by reading books and playing against the computer. Oh no, bad. No, don't do that. Because I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of a real person. This is a common thing, actually. I've heard of a lot of people doing this when they first start out. And I think it's like, well, it is like a normal thing in lots of like video games. Like when you play the tutorial first, like you got to learn how to play against like bots, and then you start playing against humans. So it's like very common in video games. But in chess, it's like, it's not even worth it. Just skip that step and just start playing against humans. I think you'll have a lot more. You'll just make a lot more progress because you'll be playing against real people and not against computers that aren't gonna test you in the right ways. A big mistake. Yeah, 1 year of the Dojo training plan has resulted in more improvement than many years of what I had done before. Wow, folks. Look at that. We just stumbled into, okay, following Takatora for sure. And let's see, we got our Lichess Classical as the preferred rating. Looks like they started that January 2024 and then have slowly gone, like I think they got up and then slowly have been building since then. So they basically gained like maybe 200 points on Lichess. Not bad, not bad. Chess.com rapid went down, but this is rapid rating, so we're not as interested in that. We have a tactics rating here, still provisional. And okay, let's go to training plan, see what we're up to here. Okay, well, we haven't done a ton here, but heat map, check this out, guys. Heat map is active. Nice. And it goes all the way back to the beginning of the year. So beginning of the year, we were doing some stuff. Not super consistent, especially it seems like during the week, it was like hard to find time. So on Sundays and Saturdays, it seems like we were doing more. And then during the week is rare. Though some Mondays we were able to get some chess in. Okay, then we had a break during the summer or longing stuff, and now we're kind of back to it with a 2-hour goal. Pretty soon we're going to try to institute a thing on the training plan here where people will be allowed to pick their goal and set their goal in terms of how much they want to work or how much time they have per week. And then we would populate the tasks for them based on how much time they have, which I think is hopefully going to encourage a lot of people to start doing more daily work and hopefully make it easier for people. You log in and it just tells you, all right, here's what you're doing this week. You go and do it. And week by week, you build up some good weeks. Eventually, you build up some good months. Eventually, you start to really feel that progress. Yeah, Truck Score, actually, I did see your donation. So I didn't add you to this list yet because this was just manual, but I stick around. So I'll definitely try to get to you after everyone, because after Poker Vein, who's like the last one, you would be next after. So you basically just be next on the list. So if you got time, stick around because I'll try to get through everybody tonight. And if not, you guys can always rewatch the VOD later, Twitch or YouTube. Okay, so let's see. In terms of the tasks, we definitely need to play more classical games. Seems like we have played some classical games, but we actually haven't marked them off. Maybe it's because we graduated. Let me go back. Yeah, let me go back. So Takator actually did a lot more work in the 1400 cohort. And they actually graduated. And let me see, actually, the heat map should show when they graduated too. Here it is. So the graduation, guys, happened January 1st, 2025. That's when they went from 1314 to 1500. So congrats on the recent graduation. So that's why we haven't done a lot of stuff in the 1500 plan, because it's actually very, very new. So I understand that now. And then if we look at the 1400, this might be a little bit more indicative of what we've been doing in the last year. And look at that breakdown, guys. Look at that breakdown. Beautiful assortment, a variety of colors, right? You guys see that? Just very pleasant to the eye. You know, balanced, as all things should be. All right, cue up Thanos. This is just the perfect image. There's even like a healthy amount of like non-dojo work in here. Even this non-dojo work, which is like this grayish white, even that kind of feels like, yeah. Although what's the 0%? There's a 0%. What's the 0%? Oh, that's probably the welcome to the dojo. Yeah. Exactly right. So the welcome tasks 0% of the time. So yeah, perfect score breakdown. I mean, okay, in terms of the ratios, we can nitpick a bit, but honestly, there's not much to nitpick. Games and analysis, 34%. So definitely the biggest chunk. I think that's correct. We should be playing and analyzing those games and spending a lot of our time. The score breakdown, I'm not worried about because I think the dojo point system is a bit miscalibrated. We need to like hone it in, and there's a lot of groups where like we're giving more points for stuff than we should be. This is actually pretty common. I think we wanted to emphasize the end game, so we give a lot of extra points for the end game, but then it results in like, oh, the score break is like a lot of end game. But yeah, dojo points need to be calibrated, but the time breakdown looks really good. Biggest chunk is games and analysis. Next biggest chunk is middle games and strategy. And then we have tactics. Maybe I would suggest doing more tactics than 9%, but it kind of depends on the games. You know, tactics might not be our issue. All right, let's see the activity here. So we did some common chess patterns, published game analysis, nice. Spar middle game position, study common chess patterns. Nice. This is a really good course on Chessable. Great for like a lot of typical tactics. Study common chess patterns. So actually, we're doing a lot of tactics this month, January. So yeah, and this is the tactics bucket. So this is counting for the tactics work. Oh, nice. Here's the graduation post. Let me give them a let's go. You know, we're still working on like the news feed and like the social aspects of the site, but we at least got like, you know, some words of encouragement. People are very supportive when it comes to the program. And these are people from like different cohorts. It's not even everyone from the same cohort here. Oh, Truckster also likes the course Common Chess Patterns. Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, that's why we it's one of the very few things in the program that's like exclusively a Chessable course. It's like this one, it's like my Chessable course, Jesse's Chessable course, and maybe I think we have the Checkmate Patterns manual as well. That's like exclusively Chessable. It's not doesn't exist as a physical book, at least not yet. It might in the future. So it's one of the few. Okay, we got some classical games, did some tests. Nice. All right, let's take a look at the games. This is usually where we can glean the most information from a player, and I'll just take a look at some of the most recent games here. It'd be great if I could open these in a new tab, but that's kind of hard. All right, first game. Looks like this was OTB, Poughkeepsie Fall Swiss, Poughkeepsie, New York. Nice. 3600 D5. It always gives the time in the seconds, and then 3600 seconds. Okay. Oh, okay. There's an hour on the clock. All right. I can see it right there. All right. So 3600 seconds, an hour. Easy. All right. Let's see what happened in this one. Looks like white played London system. Oh, C6 typical tactics blunder. I can tell you that one right away. And white could tell you that one too. Knight takes F7. Yeah. Exactly. That's one we have to know. We have to watch out for. When the bishop is here and the bishop is here, these bishops are looking at each other. And as a tactically proficient chess player, you got to just recognize that and then understand, oh, if you touch your c-pawn, your bishop on d6 is unprotected, and red flag has to go up in the brain that, this is a problem. But it's not a bad thing to blunder it. The important thing is to learn from it. Interestingly, I think knight takes c6 would also win a pawn for white with similar tactic. Yeah, this is included in the notes. So yeah, this is just something you have to watch out for. But I'll tell you guys a funny story. I have blundered this tactic in Blitz probably like 25 times at least. At least, maybe more. It's a very typical trick. It's very typical to blunder it. So it happens. Even if you blunder it multiple times, often that's not enough for it to stick. That's why in classical chess, it's like you got to just really, really play with the utmost focus when we're in a game. All right, but now things get a little bit tricky. So there's bishop b4 check, c3, takes. And white's position still looks really nice because black lost the dark squared bishop. We lost the castling rights. We're down a pawn, so no good. Maybe knight c6 was a better version for white, but it's not super important. The important thing is we blundered both of them. Okay, so we start fighting back. And okay, got some initiative now. Somehow white didn't capitalize fully on their initiative. Wonder. Yeah, bishop e2 here definitely feels like not the most aggressive move. Note to say bishop e5. Sure. I might just consider bishop d3 just to kind of develop faster. But anyway, e5, bishop g5, take, queen b6, bishop e3. Yeah, queen b6 I think was a nice move here. And now all of a sudden white is kind of just caught underdeveloped. So knight g6. Ooh, nice one. King here. Good job not blundering rook e7. Queen takes e7. That's always one to watch out for. So let's go back here. Takes. Ooh. Nice. Very nice. Okay. So clearly we got some tactical skills, right? With rook takes and rook e8. This I would say is like a harder thing to calculate than knight takes f7. So yeah, the tactical ability is there, but the blunder checking is also important. But let's go look at another game. This is another 60+0 and good attacking game. Yeah, like good counterattack. Questions, guys, you have in the chat, feel free to post. I'll try to get to them as I can. Okay, next game. Knight of 3, g6, b3. So we're playing some kind of d4 setup. Castle's good. a5, a3, all right. b6. We take on b6, seems right. Takes. Rook c2. Queen a1. There's a note here. Unless white follows up with knight e5 or e4, this diagonal will be useless. I don't do that, so bad plan. Okay, my work is done. Yeah, exactly correct. Let's see what happened. Knight e1. Why not knight e5? Knight e5, right, would be the logical continuation. And if we didn't play it, that's fine, but we should include it in our notes, right? Because, I mean, you said it yourself. Knight e5 is the move to justify our play, so why not? Okay, here it's analyzed. After b5, knight e5, take, knight d7, and it's complicated. I understand it's complicated, but the thing is, it's like, you kind of have to play knight e5, right? So if you believe in your position, you got to believe that you'll be able to figure it out. We can take a look here. I think it feels like you'll have enough to support it. Number one, there's always f4. I don't know if f4 is necessarily the move you want to play, but it's like, well, knight comes to f3. We have the d4 square. I mean, black's rook on a6 is not exactly a hero either. I don't know. I could see white being okay here. The other idea would be like, yeah, mentioned in the notes, maybe we have some e4, some counterplay like this. And then if like knight takes e5, e takes d5. Seems okay. If this knight moves, we have, oh, we're hitting this, we're hitting this. To me, it feels like our pressure on the c file is pretty good. But do you have to see all this before you play knight e5? It would be nice. It would be nice, but I think you don't have to. And this seems like, yeah, this seems like the justified move. So definitely I think we should have gone for that one. Also, you don't have to be fancy with queen a1. You can also just go queen e2, rook c1, and then knight e5 anyway, followed by knight f3. That seems reasonable to me. Okay, anyway, knight e1, knight g4. Other knight comes to f3. I do like this, though. Like, knight comes to d3, and then maybe we'd still get our knight e5, knight c5. So, okay. Let's see, big strategic battle here. Knight d3, bishop h6. We go knight c5, trades off, rook takes, bishop f8, rook d5. Nice. 495. Takes, and white has the extra piece. Looking good. Check, king f7. Ooh. Brutality. Okay, very nice. I mean, overall, I think very, very decent game. So let's go back. And this was also, looks like open tournament under 1600. Dahlia, hello. Fanciness and then brutality. Yeah, it's not something you want to face in a tournament. Back alley. Okay, next game. Okay, Sushant had a question about time trouble. How do you manage to not just use all your time during a tournament because you're busy calculating everything? Well, like with a lot of things in chess, I think you have to find the balance, right? So I'm more on the practical side. There's two kind of extremes. You have the Grishchuks of the world that spend all their time in every game and get into time trouble, and then a lot of times make mistakes in that time trouble, and that could be the reason they lose. And they need to be playing faster. And you have the Nepos of the world that sometimes play too fast, and then they need to slow down. I'm more on the Nepo side of things, where like I'm playing a little bit too fast. I'm trying to be practical, saving time for later when it's going to get complicated and concrete. And so that's what you have to kind of focus on, is that you got to save your time for when the situation gets very tactical. So PB, you're next on the list, I think, from what I can see. So you're good. Actually, you're good. The way you work on it is like you make it your number one focus. So like for your next tournaments, your next training games, you got to tell yourself, like, I'm not going to get in time trouble. I'm going to play fast. If a position isn't tactical, I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I'm going to try to choose a plan and go with it. And make sure you're writing down how much time you have left on your score sheet. This is a trick. Actually, it started to help me a lot, even though I don't really get into time trouble, but I found that when I write down how much time I have left, just in minutes, it just keeps me focused, and it just reminds me of how much time. And if I do spend too much time on a move, I'll immediately see it, because I'll be like, the last move I had 71 minutes, now I have 52 minutes, and I'm like, oh, I spent 19 minutes on that move? I had no idea. But then it like immediately tells you that. And then it's like a reminder to speed up. So that's definitely something I would suggest you do, because I think it's just good to just track your time management like that. Hello, Jake. Hello. Okay. Next game here. Picked up Chess Dojo, How to Analyze Your Games book. Nice. Now out on Amazon, folks. Go buy it. And I'm adopting David's suggestion to pick questions to answer during the analysis. So, number 1, how should black allow white to take the knight on d5? 2, after f4. Should black defend or counterattack? 3, had white exchange queens. Could black have hoped for more than a draw? Let's take a look. Okay, yeah, absolutely. So we have c3 Sicilian. Okay. Very reasonable from both sides. Oh, and we can see the time usage in this game. So our hero is actually already spending some time, whereas white playing pretty quickly. They needed some time to get out of this opening, but played quite reasonably, I would say. Whoa, d4. Takes. Pawn sacrifice. Oh, nice. I saw that coming. I saw that coming. But white takes on e7. Should have taken on e7, and then it still looks very fairly unclear. But white took here. C5, take, check, uh-oh, beautiful. We're seeing a lot of nice counterattacks, huh, from this player. Very nice. Hey, Lazy Sat. Doing well. How are you? Okay, now we're going to see a couple games. A draw and a loss. So we'll see what happens when things maybe go wrong. Ooh. Okay, and they drew. So what happened in this game? I mean, it feels like white was doing well here, just up a pawn. We played f3. Don't really like f3 here. Feels very weakening. And that's exactly what black used to get, like, immediately. But b5 and knight f5 and queen a7. And that was enough to hold it for black. So this one move, I don't think it gave it away exactly. Like here, for example, if white plays queen d4, I feel like we're still going to be under control and up a pawn, but yeah, a little faulty with the technique here. I think h3 would have been better. Exactly, like h3, as seen in the notes, just keeps white's king a lot safer. You secure your back rank. You're still active, and yeah. Maybe we were trying to play knight g4, knight h6 here. But a knight g4, that'd be knight f5. And black is kind of covering. But maybe you go back. I mean, it does feel like white still has potential here, but it gets hard. It gets tricky. You know, on BC you just have to go for it. And then it gives, wait, no, let's say G4. G4 kind of surprising, but I guess here the king is safer and we kill black's knight. So it's like, yeah, I could see white being better here. And then knight F2, knight E4. Yeah, this would be very nice endgame for white for sure. Yeah, it's a lot easier to annotate your wins. No, I know. Yeah, I'm well familiar. Okay, so technique went a bit wrong there. That's okay, happens. Let's take a look at this game. Oh, E3 poison. Nice. Not sure if I would recommend it, but that's all right. Ooh, yeah, I don't like it. C3. I feel like that's not what we want with the bishop on B2 here. But let's see what happens. C4, take. C5. Now it's okay. But still, yeah, I don't really love it for white. Looks like black won a pawn. I would think this is still very much holdable, but not anymore. not after that one. But maybe it was a little bit uncomfortable already. But why not queen? Oh, right. Queen c6, rook a1. Yeah, that's the problem. And then queen a4. No, white's holding here. Yeah, so white would still be holding here. Because next move, king can unpin, and white should be fine. So this was okay. King h2 looks safe as well. But the problem with what I like with king h2, black can take this one. And then that doesn't look fun for white. Okay, we can take here, threaten the rook, but at this point black's king is safe. So let's say like rook a2. I feel like black basically is just winning here. So this was maybe holdable, but we didn't have a lot of time. But what went wrong in this game? I mean, the opening like wasn't great for white, but I feel like we ended up just with this very bad bishop on b2, yeah? And we also had this bad bishop on b2 in the other games. We got to try to stop ending up with this bad bishop. My advice, Takatora, we've seen like some nice attacking games for you. If you want to play attacking chess, might I suggest a little trick known as e4. Because in all your games, you're suffering with this bishop on b2. And you're like, oh, I need e4, like open up the bishop. Start with the move. You can play it on move 1. You can get the king side out quickly. People always, are afraid of the theory, but you can choose lines that are less theoretical, and at the same time, your opponents are also going to be afraid of you knowing theory. So both sides are afraid of the theory. So I would just recommend to not worry about it. Start playing e4 now. Start getting experience now, because I feel like it fits your style, to be honest. And I think you'll have more fun rather than starting off with knight f3, d5, b3, and then you're kind of like on your back foot trying to create something in the game, like trying to create some pressure from an objectively very equal position. So yeah, play e4. I think that to me, I feel like this is this is a clear choice. Clear choice. But let's look at maybe a couple more games here. Let's see. Okay, this one we were black. Oh, actually, I think Taka had some specific questions. They were asking about the Sicilian Khan, but we didn't. Might have missed that. Missed that game. I might go back and check. Hey, Far Eastern. Hello, hello. Okay. This Sicilian seems to have gone well for black. And why is that? Because white started off kind of passively, like h3, bishop e3, and here they decided to finally be a hero. They go d4, but giving up dark squared bishop, oof, probably not a good idea. And black immediately just like comes in, bishop c5. Yeah, no good. Average Abby, thank you for rating. Hello, hello, folks. Welcome, welcome. We're analyzing some games here, some profiles in the dojo. And just looking at this game where black already taking over here, actually, after b4. So this whole thing was just tactically bad. Takes here, b4, and pawn is gone. So bishop drops back, castles, takes, go for endgame. Bishop a3. Whoa. Whoa, what happened? d5, there's knight takes d5. Oh. Takes. Here. Oh. That's not good. So we kind of blundered into this, yeah? Rook c8 takes here, and we realized too late that d5 is a blunder. So not the first blunder we've seen. This one is a bit harder than we saw this like knight takes f7 thing earlier. This one's a bit harder to see ahead of time, but that is something we want to be seeing. So looking at the opponent's resources, definitely a big one here, a big thing to work on. Somehow we won this game anyway. So what happened? Takes rook c8. Now white should have a way to pick up extra material here. To me, I feel like if the bishop just drops back, I think we just keep the extra piece, and then next move is knight e2. But white goes here and here, and now black's only down the exchange. So, okay. King e2, knight f4. Life is good again. Life is good. Life is good. Nice. Okay. Well, tactics unfortunately are important for both sides. Wow. G5. King c6. What is happening here? If rook takes b6, why didn't we take this pawn? Knight check. There's king here. I think black is doing good. So some questions here. E4 check also could be played. Which looks all right. But we played king c6. But now knight takes b7. Knight takes d8. I mean, that's easy, right? That's white missed it. White goes rook a5, and Boom. Wow. Nice. And then we won the king and pawner. Okay. So yeah, definitely some tactical stuff we got to work on, especially looking for the opponent's resources. That's like a mindset shift we got to make during our games. We just have to remind ourselves, like, look for the blunders, look at your hanging pieces, look at the tactics for your opponent, look at their forcing moves, their concrete moves, and we have to like be very diligent about blunder checking. Not a ton. You don't want to just like fall into time trouble, because I feel like time management is actually generally pretty good. Taka is using their time all the way to the end, which is more important. But yeah, Cloud said saying, oh, the tactical stuff happened earlier in 2024. But the first game we looked at was last month, December. And this was the 9F7 game. So you gotta see that one, right? You gotta see that one, especially in the opening. So this is something we gotta keep working on. But we are doing the common chess patterns, which is great. But I think it's also like a mindset thing, just like being very diligent during the game, blunder checking before you make a move. If you have time, trying to make sure like your opponent doesn't have any sharp moves that can hurt you. And then I think maybe think about playing e4, because I feel like with white we're actually struggling with these knight f3, b3 positions and trying to figure something out. I think just play e4, get those open positions. I feel like you can. I feel like your tactical skills are actually pretty good. It's just spotting your opponent's tactics. It's like it's like almost like a psychological thing, and it's like competitive thing, sports thing. Like you have to remember to do it, and it's different than just looking for your own ideas, of course. But in general, we're doing good. We're playing, I think, pretty frequently, and we had a graduation, so clearly something was working. So books are still good. Maybe a change in opening repertoire, and more diligent blunder checking for sure. And they mentioned some con games, but they might not be published. At least I don't see them. Alrighty. Taka, hope that helps. Next up, we got PB. And we have the game link. Cool. Let me highlight this one. And we got a game here from PB to take a look. PB says roast away. Okay. I'm gonna do some roasting. All right. Well, we won as black against a much high rated player. WCPL. 90 plus 30. Not sure if this is OTB or online. All right, Diddy. Thanks. We'll see you next time. Bishop G5. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Wow. Okay. Oh boy. Clearly sharp game. Knight f6. E5. Corporeal writes, at this point, I completely forgot my theory. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'd be completely out of book here. Myself. Let's see what happened. Knight g4, h3. Takes. Bishop g7. Takes. Castles. Bishop d3. It looks nice for white. It does look pretty nice for white. C3, yep. A6. Oh no. Oh no. If A6 is our best move here, then yeah, we've got to be busted. Ace A6. This is hard to look at. Okay, knight f3, b5, knight takes h4. I mean, we're just getting mated. I don't understand. d6. I hope he e6s you. Good. Good. This is what you deserve. I'm glad he did this to you. Because I don't see how you would learn otherwise. Okay, bishop b7. Okay, knight d2. Developing. He's giving you the courtesy of developing, so at least it feels like a fighting game. But it does seem like white already has enough to give checkmate. Here. Then like f6, knight f5. Or like here in f6. Knight g6. Yeah, definitely feels like white should be mating, but okay, goes knight d2. Knight a5, going even further away from the king side. Rook h2. So that's a slow move by white. I don't get rook h2. I think white, yeah, should be killing you here with any number of moves. Bishop e4, queen g4, queen h5, castling. Yeah, so okay, lets you off the hook with rook h2, c5, knight g6, rook f6, queen g4. Why is there an arrow pointing c4 is like the worst move on the board? Why would we played cd? Good. cd's, yeah, great. cd's good. I don't know why the arrow is pointing at c4. Takes, rook c8. Yeah, there's rook h6 here for white, which might have just won, but I'm not really sure. King h7. And I don't really see it for white either. So takes here, king e2, knight c6, rook h1. Okay, so he just wants to just kill you slowly, but sometimes this can be hard to accomplish. Okay, knight f3. Okay, why didn't he take? Queen g5. This would have been pretty good, huh? Yeah. So black was dead to rights, for sure. Okay, king h7. Knight here. Why not knight e4? Going after the rook. I guess he didn't want to give up this one with check, but I feel like we can handle that as white, but maybe that's a bit. I don't know. I think it's probably still good. I think you can probably still do it. Yeah, knight e4 takes king d1. And yeah, I think we're just breaking through. But rook h6. I mean, rook h6 is this is clean. This is clean. There's nothing further needed here. It's beautiful also, but also at the same time clean. So knight f3, queen e8, knight g5. Okay, actually I like knight f3 seems pretty good too. Knight f7. Could have taken on h6 again. This would have been, yes, good. Yeah, I mean this looks like mate. When you just have this many pieces in front of the opponent's king, it often feels like mate. So knight f7. So what happened in this game? Takes. Uh-oh. Rook e6. Uh-oh. Knight e5. I feel like he could have given the queen, right? Your position was so bad, white could blunder the queen and still be completely winning. That's how bad our position was. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, actually, I mean, Rook H7, Rook H8 is just we're just, if nothing, I mean, maybe there we have better, but this is leaving us in an endgame with white having two pieces for the rook, two knights for the rook, and two knights and a pawn for the rook. So should be totally winning. You can just bring your knights out and just start bringing your pawns up. But he panics. He doesn't want to give the queen, so he gives the knight. Fair enough. Takes here. Here. And white is not as good as they were doing before, but maybe still doing okay. Like, I feel like they're still rook h6, right? Yeah. If black goes queen f7, okay. Feels like white should be winning. Maybe rook h7, knight e5, and then rook h8, checkmate. I don't know. Maybe this is faster. Let me see. What's this line? Takes. Okay, this also looks winning for white. So, what's happened? How do we get this one? So takes rook c5, knight f3, takes, king h7. We got check. We got takes, queen d7, d5. And here white lost on time. Wow. So we didn't even win on the board. we won on the clock. Okay, what's the final note here? White can go here and king h3, and white's winning. White's completely winning here. Black is completely losing. The computer informs me my post-game analysis is mostly wrong, and I walk away with my best ever win. Look, Corporeal, take the win. You know what? Take the win. I remember beating a very strong 2600 Grandmaster where he was just completely winning the whole game. He was up a pawn, and then he just walked into a simple mate in two, just blundered in the end game. It happens. It happens. I would just I would just invite you gently, in the gentlest of ways, to maybe reconsider this monstrosity of an opening that you played in. What are we doing here? What are we doing? What is this? Right? Fight for the center. Might I suggest d5, knight f6. If you want to get a little frisky, you can play knight f6, e6, maybe Nimzo Indian, maybe Bogo Indian. You can still get your knight e4 and f5 in the future, but just prepare it. Castle. Don't go for the, I don't know, early Dutch. I'm not a huge fan of this one. I just feel like it's risky. It's weakening. You have to work a lot just to get a playable position. And what happened in this game? I mean, what happened in this game, really? We got a horrendous position with a6. But great fighting spirit. Good fighting. Fighting back. We'll take the win. I missed this note here. The computer gives c5 as the best move. Directly attacking the pawn is not trapping. Yeah, I mean, the computer knows something, right? Because knight c6, c3, your knight is dead. So you need your pawns to attack the base of the chain. Nimzovich. So yeah, instead of knight c6, d6 is better, c5 is better. Absolutely. You gotta fight for some squares here if you're gonna survive this position. Because honestly, he should have just wiped you off very quickly. Should have been just super fast. But hey, we'll take it. We take those. Yeah, Claude said that's very sad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to read that. Chess is brutal, though. Chess is brutal. And so much ends up depending on like your nerves, just purely your nervous system, and whether you keep your cool in in a stressful situation. Hey, Clutch, yeah, I should be able to cover it today. And you can include the game link in the donation, or you can whisper it here on Twitch. Oh, that's okay. Skipopotamus. I mean, you don't have to be a Dojo member. Like, if you're not, I was thinking I could just look at your games from your chess.com profile or Leech's profile. Yeah, only those two apps. Maybe other chess apps. Yeah, Steve Nash's 20-minute workout. Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Skip, are you one of these anonymous donors? Andrew's pawn. Okay, let me see. Let me see the list here. So, would you happen to remember the email or anything you used to donate, just so I could make sure I mark off the right one? No, need to. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Um, yeah. So for the sparring positions, right, you can go into them cold. I would say you can look at the initial position for like a couple minutes, like 5-10 minutes. Just looking at it yourself, not analyzing, but just looking at the starting position. That's what we usually do with David. And then I would play it, and then you can analyze after that. And then if there's a famous game, I would first play it and then look at the game afterwards. After you play it, a couple times. Far Eastern says need to pump up the profile. Oh, I see. Well, yeah. Take those graduations. Take those to the bank. Yeah, you got it. You got it, dude. Okay. Got it. Thank you for that. Oh, and you are actually this one. Oh, and is is this your note you wrote? Really only care about rapid. Is that still true? Let me type here Andrew's pawn. Awesome. Okay. All right. We will focus on the rapid time control. You betcha. Let me go to chess.com. Actually, well, yes. Let's go home. We leave. And we are going to look up your profile. Okay, 1 second here. Nice, here we go. Okay, Andrew's pawn from Poland. Shout out to Poland. And oh yeah, Clutch, I see your donation there. Thank you. So yeah, we'll take a look at the game. Okay. Oh, Virginia. All right, shout out to Virginia. Okay, so rapid rating. Current 1544, highest 1634. Win, draw, loss 1600, 170, 1400, 3200 games. All right, Puzzle Rush 26. 344 attempts. And let's see, game history. All right. Okay, game history. So 5 minutes. Let me sort it by rapid. Live games. Rapid. Search. There we go. There we go. Okay, let's take a look at some games. Let me actually open these in different tabs. This is what we need to be able to do on the site. Is to be able to open games in different tabs and make it a lot easier. Okay. All right, first game, Carol. Solid line. This system is pretty popular these days. No draw, not going for the repetition. Nice. But we hung a pawn. It happens. Okay, Frisky. Frisky got the pawn back. Nice. But we're down on time. What's the time control we're playing here? 15:10. Okay, we have increment. Good. And then, wait, what happened here? We traded and went into what looks like very dangerous king and pawn endgame. I don't know. We don't have time to calculate. We have 20 seconds. But optically, it looks very dangerous because white has a passed pawn and their king has an easy way in. Okay, so take here. Could have played g5 as well just to break out. And yeah. Okay, so not a good decision there to trade the bishops. I think because in the king and pawn endgame, you might just be completely lost. And so if you think you're losing in the king and pawn endgame, then by default you'll have better chances in the bishop endgame. Even if the bishop endgame is also unpleasant, you should have better chances because the king and pawn endgame could be just mathematically losing, like you're losing on the spot. So especially in a situation where you don't have a lot of time, I wouldn't be making this decision unless I'm really confident it's a good one. So that's just a practical thing, like going for the king and pawn end games. We want to be careful about that. But that's just one game. Let me take a look at another one here. JDW, thank you for the donation. Thank you. And f6, queen e2. Okay, this game we're white. We're playing against the Karo. All right, let's take a look. Bishop d3, please castle. Please castle. Here we go, takes. Okay, got the end game. Whoa. So this king and pawn endgame looks like white is okay. But like maybe not. Black is the one that's better here. I feel like, yeah, this was like very tenuous. One mistake and could have been over. So h4 here. Maybe white is okay, because every time black plays here, white can meet. If black was allowed to go king d4, that would be really scary for white. Because king d4, b6, e3 check, king goes somewhere. Black comes in, b7, and then, okay, either king c2 or you can give check first, and yeah, it's kind of scary. So I think this king and pawn endgame was fine, because otherwise black's bishop is pretty good. So I think it was okay to go for this one. But anyways, that one ended in rightful draw. Next one. Okay, a lot of Caro-Kanns. It's like every game. Every game, what's going on? Every game. Oof. So what I noticed, like black spent a ton of time in this game. Just trying to understand why. Bishop d3. Oh, knight d7 spends a lot of time. Knight f5. Bishop d3, like at first it looks nice, but is it so impressive? It's not so clear, because white also has some squares. Knight c5 castle. And then now black is down to 3 minutes. Goes knight d3, bishop e4, knight c5 back. You know, not a lot of time here. Not a lot of time. Oh. Yeah, and then we ended up nice rook end game. Basically extra couple of pawns. King g2. Nice. So we ended up converting. I wasn't sure about king g2 at first, but it's probably okay. My first thought would be just like f4. Just because if we look at, let's say, the most straightforward line, say rook goes somewhere, we're threatening to promote, rook d8, rook e8, and looks like we're promoting with check and first. Yeah, I'm not saying you got to calculate all that, but to me it feels like we're winning with this f pawn. So maybe here we could have played f4. Maybe we don't even need to take this one. Maybe this is another way. But I don't think the technique was a problem in this one. But yeah, I just want to point it out just because like I noticed the rook is cutting off black's king and this pawn is just running. It's a passed pawn, no one in front of it, and like, yeah, it's hard for black to get the rook back in time. But maybe it's simpler to not even go into the race because that's a lot to calculate. And you have a lot of time here. Like your opponent has 1 minute, you have 7 minutes. So if you go in for this like race situation, you got to be sure you're winning. So if you can calculate it out to the end because you have 7 minutes, then you know what? Like this is actually an area of improvement because you might think like, oh, that's super deep, that's hard to calculate. But actually, you do have 7 minutes, right? So how long does it take to count to 6? 1, 2, 3, excuse me, to 5. How long does it take to count to 5? Not that long. Not that long. So you have to hold the position in your head. But the thing about rapid, I feel like this is critical. At some points, you do have time to stop and think. And so you have to recognize those moments when it's like a critical decision. And then be able to focus, calculate, and try to come up with a concrete decision. I'm not saying your king g2 is bad, but I am saying you have enough time to really think about it and try to make a calculated decision rather than just intuiting all of your moves, as players often do in the endgame. Okay, next one. Okay, take, b6. Opening here looks good. We get our pieces out. White looks a little bit silly with this queen a4. It's like, this is rapid chess, you know, like the dude plays queen a4, you end with knight c5. They're like, oh, okay, compact. So, all right, good deal. Queen c7, b4, knight e4. Let's go. Rook d8. Bishop d4, take, e5. No e5. E5 to me looks like a big problem because I see that we're putting pressure here, we're putting pressure here, and I see that we have 14 minutes. So yeah, look, Andrew's pawn is very typical. I don't mean to drag you, but look, this is a big part of the problem. You have 14 minutes and 50 seconds on your clock. It's move 18. I'm pretty sure you have a tactical win. And you're playing basically one move at a time, right? Queen c6, you threaten the checkmate. And white defends it. You go knight g4. Yeah, fancy. Okay, at least on knight g4, let me give you some credit. You spent 5 minutes here. So at least you took your time there, but you really should have taken your time way earlier, right? If you're starting with 15 minutes, then by move 18 in a complicated game, you shouldn't have 14 minutes, 50 seconds. That means you're playing bullet, right? It doesn't mean you're playing rapid. It means you've played bullet chess. Maybe bullet is hard. You've played blitz. You play pretty fast. I know you get some increment back as well. So it's not like you're pre-moving everything, right? But at some point you have to stop and think, and that point is sooner than here. So your opponents are going to be playing fast, and your opponent here has been playing pretty fast as well. So take advantage of that by taking your time, because then you could really punish them. Because, yeah, I mean, to me, this one just looks like really straightforward knockout, right? E5. And then rook d2, queen c4. And we got 2 pieces for the rook. We still have all of our attacking ideas. So it should be very nice position for black. And I'm not using the engine here, right? So if I spotted this very quickly, it's not because I'm amazing, it's because the tactic is spottable. That's why. And you'll be spotting it too, but you have to give yourself more time to do that. But that's very typical. I mean, that's what makes rapid difficult, because you do have time to think sometimes, but you can't think on every move, because then you'll get in time pressure very quickly, and then you just get blitzed out, right? So it's like, yeah, you got to balance. This looks nice though. Let's see this. Takes 93. Got the exchange back, and b5. Okay, we found that one. Good. And now technique was pretty solid. Yeah, I wouldn't trade queens here. I don't think we need to. I think our queen is very strong. h3. Okay. Okay, we definitely struggled with the technique here. Yeah, I was like, and then I'm not even sure what the result of the game was. Whoa, we took. Whoa. That seems wrong. Because again, white gets the king over very fast. King f4. Then he goes g5. And then this I assume was a draw. But king f4 there would have been GG, because he's going to catch your pawn. If you push, he catches you. If you don't push, he's pushing. So a bit lucky there. So we went from up a piece, should be very clean win, to all of a sudden losing in the endgame. And we had 9 minutes on the clock, so it's not like we were in time pressure. We got the time. What happened? We go here. We go check for some reason. I don't get this check, because like these moves, we just end up helping the king come forward. The way white gets counterplay here is if their king reaches, takes your pawn, hits your bishop, starts running their b pawn. So this is like the last thing we want to allow, right? So what would have been a better choice? One idea, for example, is to use the f-pawn to open up white's king here. And then if you can open it up, then your queen can come in, start giving a bunch of checks. Your bishop comes in, you can mate the king. It's going to be all over. If you take both of these pawns, you'll have your own pass pawn to push. And white's pawn, of course, is not going anywhere. These pawns are very slow to advance. So you kind of have a nice grip here where white's king is already in the box. I mean, maybe you're even mating if you just like if you're able to just get in. But I would just keep white's king inside here. And then advancing this one. Yeah, Kostya brings up a good point as well. I think you could have traded queens also. And basically, let's say you go here and just quickly run your king to d6. This feels like a fairly straightforward win. Let's say we come in, and let's say we play this one, a4. Yeah, taking should be fine. If white takes this way, they're just blockaded. We got our own majority, and it's very simple from here. If they take with the king, let's say bishop comes in, could play here, and yeah, eventually white's just losing the pawns and you're advancing. So it should be pretty straightforward win. Yeah, I think endgame is pretty simple as well. And maybe we have a bit of trepidation about the endgame, but I'm not sure. I think keeping the queens on the board is totally fine, but then you can't just give a bunch of aimless checks. You gotta be more purposeful with what you're doing with your pieces. You want to set up mate, you gotta set up the mate. You can't just give a bunch of checks and then hope your opponent blunders into something. So you have to make your own luck here. Okay, let me see another one. Whoa. Okay, so we get 4 knight scotch. Normal opening, bishop b4 takes. I think normally black takes on e4 here. Not sure. Fillet, hello. Takes, and knight g8. I don't know. Doesn't look right. Doesn't look right. Black still has 15 minutes on their clock. Jeez Louise. Doesn't look right. Okay, queen g4. Feels good. g6, bishop g5. Knight e7, bishop f6. Castles. Queen g5. Black here is cruising for a bruising. Oof. Oh, wait. Hold on. Hold on. What? Queen takes f6, right? So, okay, I see we spent 7 seconds on bishop e2. That's not enough. So, yeah, very typical advice here. You got to spend more time. You got it, because you're blundering when you're playing quickly, right? As we all do. So you just have to slow down. Bishop takes e5 and black resigns. Bishop e2. I don't know why he gave you his rook, and then played here. Okay, I mean, wow, wow, insane mutual blindness, huh? Insane in the flesh too, and it's not even OTB. Like OTB, I get it, because like white is confident, black feels it. They play queen f8, but online you don't often see the mutual blindness. Black spent 18 seconds on queen f8 too. That must have been very nerve-wracking. 18 seconds. Okay, so we can see the issue here. When we play too quick, we blunder. And just because our opponents are playing fast, that doesn't mean we should match their pace, right? Because look at it this way. Your opponent played fast this game, ended up in a losing position with more time than they started with. That's nothing to be proud of. Like, you don't get a dojo badge for doing that. So, yeah, don't match their pace. Take your time and make sure that you're being precise. And you will pick up, I think, many points just by doing that. This one simple trick will get you many wins, guys. And that is taking your time. Just spending more time. Oh yeah, like CloudSat, answer your question correctly. H4, H5 also. I mean, that's of course if that's always a plan in that kind of position. But Queen G5, Queen H6, that was very direct and straightforward and good. When you just have mate with the pieces, you don't need the pawns. You need the pawns when the pieces aren't breaking through on their own. Okay, next one, knight c3, a6, weird move. d4, good. Okay, this opening was a bit complicated, so we spent time here and we played knight f5. Good, exactly right. Like when you're not sure exactly what to do, spend time. Also, even if you get it wrong, just spending that time will make you a better chess player. And then analyzing those games. Now, Andrews, let me ask you this. Andrews pawn. Let me ask you this. You analyze the rapid games, but then where do they go? Are you just doing the analysis on chess.com? Are you keeping a study of your games? Chess.com library, ChessBase database, uploading them to the Dojo ChessBase. Nice. Okay, good. I was going to say, it's like, even if you're just playing rapid, I think it's good to track the games analyze them, save them. You don't have to find every single mistake in every single game, right? Like if you're running with the engine, but try to find the biggest mistakes, right? Like 3-4 big mistakes per game, and then see if you can categorize those. Was it a tactical thing, end game thing, positional thing? And then over time, you start looking at your games. Of course, you'll start to notice some patterns. So a5, rook e1, should be a6, a3. Don't love a3. I don't see what that's about. To me, it feels like you're playing on the king side here. So your move should be maybe king h1 to improve your king. You should be looking at e5 breaks, f5. Why not f5? Why not f5? f5. F5, and then I'm thinking f6 as well to force a weakness on the king side. So just for example, if takes, we want to come in with our queen, and it looks very dangerous for the king. All we need to do is get our rook up and over, and it's going to be mating. This knight is what we call pinned as well. So not sure what a3 is about here. Because that looked like a golden opportunity. Okay, so f5. So f6 here, e5, takes, queen g4, f5, and then goes here. I'm gonna say that was probably a blunder. I mean, 95. You gotta play it, like, for better or worse. I don't know. It doesn't even look that bad. I don't know what happened. Some strange blunder by the opponent. Rook d8. But let's see. Queen e4. Good. Good. Yeah, just try to get the queens off the board. Rook e7. Nice. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Bummer. Bummer. Yeah, happens. Okay. I know we only had 2 minutes, but yeah, it happens. It happens. Don't worry about it. Yeah. No. We've all blundered that many times. Everyone, anyone that's played a lot of Blitz has blundered that at some point. Yeah, it definitely happens. Okay. As usual, working on Blitz, tactics, puzzles is good. Micah left tonight will probably be the last night. I think I'm gonna try to get through all the remaining ones today. Okay, next game here. Nice. I see we're a seasoned Grand Prix player. Grand Prix definitely a nice opening, I think, in Rapid, because you get all these attacking chances and opponent doesn't have a lot of time to deal with them. Okay, Queen h6. Bishop b7, stopping your knight g5. Rook f2 takes. Whoa, knight g5. Okay. Oh, we got mated. I was like, what? What is happening here? Okay. And we got mated with 8 minutes on the clock. Oof, not good. Sharp position, but I think we have to spend more time here analyzing this one. Basically, like, got to spend more time, I think, at this moment. We spent 2 minutes. I think that's not bad, but I think maybe if we spent more time, we would have. Definitely, we're not losing the game here in in 3 moves. Rook takes a1, by the way, doesn't look that bad, but this is something I would definitely be calculating, and not I would just go for this immediately, but I would definitely consider this, because here, let's see, we're still down a pawn, but black's king is clearly going to be going for a walk. We have ideas like check, we have rook e1, so black's king definitely looks very, very unsafe here. I'm not saying you need to see and understand this immediately, but I think if you spend more time here, maybe you do find and evaluate that correctly. So yeah, again, it's like the time usage is definitely like a big thing I feel like I keep coming back to. Let's see here. I want to see some more. Just want to see a couple more white games. Oh wait, this game we were playing black. Okay. Well, let's look anyway. Knight h7, king here. Takes. Knight h7. But why not just like rook e8, right? Just rook e8. Okay, so fast move there. Another fast move. But we managed to get back into it. Because white got kind of cut. Yeah, we got the 2 bishops, and there was still some nice compensation there. Although I think it was kind of accidental compensation. Okay, Andrew's Paul, I think I'm ready to give you some advice here. I feel like, I don't really see anything criminal or fundamentally wrong like in your play. Like, I think you're just like very kind of solid player, straightforward, like playing e4. I think we're playing like Caro Khan as black, if I remember. Yeah, like Caro is solid. It's just like there are moments where we have to like spend more time. We have to be more concrete. At the same time, like, we should be working on our tactics and calculation so that we can be better at those moments. In rapid chess, you don't have a lot of time, so you have to be able to think quickly, to calculate quickly. You also have to be able to trust your calculation, and then you have to make evaluations pretty quickly as well. So the first part of that, I think, is working on your tactics and calculation, really trying to I think if you... The problem is with like online chess, I mean, my experience, like you play your first game, your second game, maybe you're focused, then like your third or fourth game, it's like that energy level drops, right? We start blundering, we start playing fast. So we have to, I think, try to maintain good playing form as much as we can. And part of that means like taking your time, not matching your opponents if they're blitzing, being concrete, looking for tactical ideas, and trying to slow down. Very, very important. Then, to improve on the evaluation side, well, yeah, you got to study some chess books. That's easy. Silman, Helstein, but Silman books, definitely very good. Game collections as well. That's how you kind of evaluate like a grandmaster, another good book. That's how you just kind of improve your ability to evaluate positions by studying games, studying the annotations of players. You learn from looking at their games, right? They take you through their games. You look through their notes with them, right? In a way, by reading through, you play through the games, and you try to see chess the way they saw it, the ones that are annotating these games. So hopefully that helps. Working on Dojo book list, nice, awesome. Well, as usual, you got to work on tactics, you got to work on strategy, And then, and then one thing I noticed, like on the end games, I feel like we're a little bit too loosey-goosey with the king and pawn end games. You got to be very careful before you go into a king and pawn end game, especially if you don't have a lot of time. At some point, you're going to want to work on end games. You can listen. You can't work on everything all at once. At least I can tell you for sure, openings are not your problem. I didn't really see any issues in the opening, so that's good. And I think you have some middle game skills down as well, for sure. But yeah, the concrete phase of the game, end games, maybe some evaluations, but being able to like spend more time, that's a big one. That would be like the biggest practical one. Of course, is the time management. Chess ones, it's going to be like working on tactics calculation, of course, and then maybe end games would be the second thing. But you don't have to do it all at once. I would say like first month, like 1 month, focus on tactics, doing your tactical work 1 hour a day every morning. Next month, switch to endgames, where you're going through some endgame book. Capablanca's Best Endings by Chernov. That's a very good one. Silma's Endgame book. One of these books, definitely very going to be very useful, I think. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have questions. Absolutely. All right, next up is going to be Day. And then we have Poker Vein. And there was Truck Score and Clutch as well. Let me add... those before I forget. Okay, next up is going to be Day. And are they in the dojo, or are we looking at them on chess.com? Oh, new to dojo. Okay, and looking to improve. Great. Wanted to help and get some ideas on how I can improve and use the dojo to the max. Awesome. You got it. Okay, let's see if we can find their profile, if they're already on the site. Day 3000. Beautiful. They are here. All right, folks, let me take actually a real quick break. I'll be back in just a few. And then we'll take a look at Day. And then we got a couple more game reviews as well. So don't go anywhere. I'm going to get some elevator music. I have a notification here. I have a new follower, Voki. Let's go. And we'll be right back. More game reviews. All right, let's find our elevator music. Okay, guys, see you in a bit. Alrighty, folks. Hello, we are back. And we are going to be looking at another profile. Day 3000. Okay. So, who's still here? Who's still here? Hopefully we still hopefully we still got some folks around. Let's take a look. So, day 3000, 900 to 1,000 cohort. Reminds me of Andre 3000. Let's follow them. Software engineer based in Frankfort, Kentucky. Another Kentuckian. Lifelong learner and electronic music lover. Started playing chess in 2023. And I'm loving the journey. Nice. Okay, so heat map. I see we've gotten some stuff in. Joined in July, but haven't been tracking a whole lot. So you got to maybe got to log more. Let's see the training plan. Feels like we're just getting started, but that was their note, is that they're actually new to Dojo and they're looking to see how they can use it to improve their chess. Okay. So yeah, big part of course is going to be looking through the training plan. Looks like we've already started with some of the tactics. That's perfectly good. Right now we're working on an algorithm that'll tell you what to do based on what you have or haven't done so far. But simply put, you want to start with the games and analysis section. Start with playing classical games, playing the blunder games. Looks like we got some already here. And then once you play some classical games, start annotating them so you can try to learn and figure out what your mistakes are. And then in the meantime, also be working on tactics. We're already doing some tactics. Great. So this is exactly what we want you to be doing. Slowly just working through the tasks. Looks like we already did the puzzle rush. We're doing the Polgars. We're doing Learn Chess the Right Way. That's a great book. So beautiful. And I see the heat map is showing a lot of tactics lately. 4 hours. Let's go. So yeah, let's see the activity here. Okay. It's like all tactics. So, all right, based on this, I would say we definitely want to start playing more. I know we're playing some blunder games already, some rapid games, but you want to also play some classical games just to see where you're at, right? Just to see where you're at and start to dip your toes in the water. Because it looks like we're doing a lot of good tactics work, but ultimately chess is going to be decided on the board. So I would say, like, my first thing is like, I feel like we need to be playing more, because improvement really starts and ends with playing. Playing is how you determine your rating, right? Your level, your strength, etc., etc. But it's like how you test yourself against higher opponents. It's the only way to show if you've actually improved is if your rating goes up. Your rating only goes up if you have good performances over the board and can prove it. And that can either be OTB, but it can also be online. Let's see, our preferred rating is chess.com rapid. So yeah, we definitely want to be playing a lot. Now I know we're playing some blunder games, but I don't think we've played that much. Yeah, only 5 games out of 35 so far. So we definitely want to be playing more games, more classical games. That's very important. That's how you determine where your weaknesses are, where you need to improve, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's going to be the first thing. If you're nervous about playing, you're like not sure, like what am I going to do over the board? Then I would say do some middle games as well. Maybe first book of Morphe, maybe studying the master games. They're linked here. These aren't super popular in the dojo, but they are available for you to study. the nice thing about studying master level games, it gives you something to strive for. So you get an example, like especially first book of Morphe. It's a bunch of Morphe games, nicely annotated, that you can play through. It gives you an idea of how you should be trying to play your chess aggressively, playing for the initiative, playing for the attack, etc., etc. And then you can try to go and replicate that in your games. But we have to play more, I think. I think we've got to be playing more. Hopefully we're playing a lot. Maybe we're just not tracking the games that we're playing in the dojo, but that would be a big thing for, well, yeah, huge thing. That I mean, most number one thing, got to play more, get some games in. So if you guys go to games up here, you can also, I think, sometimes get it through this view, but if you go to games up here, we have the analyze a game button, and this takes you to this page. I think there's also easier ways to get it. This is how you import a game into our database. And you can either start from a completely blank game. You can import it from your chess.com profile if you have that connected. You can do a custom position, or if you have like a PGN, like you're copying over from like Lee Chess Study or something, you can also import a PGN. But yeah, a lot of people either do the blank one or the chess.com one and so on. And then this is the game editor. If you haven't seen it, it is actually quite nice. Let's say we imported a game. Actually, let me go back and I'll import one of my recent games. This is this is a wonderful game I played against my brother, part of the charity stream where people could donate bits in order to call out our moves. So you input the game. The beautiful thing about this game editor, when you input a game from your online profile, for example, is that it collects the clock times automatically, and you get this amazing clock graph. So you can see white spent their time in this game, black did not. And then, of course, you get the timestamps per move, so that's super cool. And then when you go through, this is going to be a key part of your task. After you get some games in, that's when you go through and you start annotating the game. And the way you do that is you go to the Annotate tab. Here we have the main info. Here we have, you go to the comments, and you basically write your comments here. So, for example, e3, e5, king e2, white advances their strongest piece and develops an initiative, right? So you write your comments, then you can continue going through the game, and you can label moves as being good or bad. For example, if you identify your mistakes, I'm going to say knight d2 exclam. Then let's say which move I don't like here. Yeah, G4 was not a great move. I shouldn't have played this because it loses a pawn directly. So I'm just kind of showing an example of like how to annotate a game. You go through it and then you try to identify the mistakes. Whenever you do identify a mistake, what you then should do is add a suggestion. The way you do that is you go back, and then let's say maybe G4 wasn't the move I would play. Maybe I would rather play H3 here. Then you can enter that move and write something. H3 was a better move, covering the G4 square and not losing material. So that's how you annotate a game, or that's at least how you get started. And then, of course, make sure to save it. And then you'll see this screen that pops up. And then here, very critically, you can save the game, which saves it privately, or you can save and publish the game, which then adds the game to the Dojo database. I think for now, I'm just going to, I don't know if I should publish the game yet. I think I'll just save the game. And I'll wait until publishing it later. We also have an engine in the browser that's very strong, Stockfish 17, and it uses your computer's power. Here I'm on my laptop, and if you guys can see that, it's already at depth 28, and calculating at 6.4 million positions per second, which is actually a very, very good speed for a browser engine, I would say. And it's already like at depth 31. So to me, I feel like we actually have a very usable engine on the site. We don't recommend you use the engine to analyze your games right away. We recommend you analyze your games by yourself, but I'm just saying later, if you want to maybe check some of your notes, see if you analyze the game correctly, and you want to go through with the engine. Personally, I think that's okay. Far Eastern says, yeah, surprised that studying master games isn't popular. As far as I can tell, it's not the most popular thing. If we go to the scoreboard, let's go to full dojo, and I'll just go to the 900 to 1,000 game cohort. So we can see all the players in this cohort, and the cool thing is like we can see at a glance what people are doing. So we'll see here. We'll see here. So these are, whoops, it took me back. My bad. So these are some of the most active members in this cohort. And then if we go to study master games, okay, the top folks have done some, but then there's some 0 out of 12s. And you can see there's a lot of 0 out of 12s, right? But then if we scroll here, these folks are doing like the puzzle rush. They're doing the Polgars. Yeah, they're definitely doing the Polgar mates. And yeah, so I don't know. It might depend on the cohort, but I found that they're not the most popular task, which is okay. We have a lot of tasks in the program, and it's something that we're trying to dial in. One of the things that's a little bit misleading is that it says like there's 10 tasks here, but it's not really 10 tasks. It's more like 7 tasks, because 3 of those tasks are just guides. And guides are not really a task. It's just a guide to doing the tasks, right? So it's a little bit overwhelming at first, but we're working on like kind of dialing it in, honing it down, working on the algorithm, which is going to take how many hours you have available in the week and then just tell you, here's what you're doing today, here's what you're doing for this week. So I'm very excited about us building that. I'm hoping we add some streaks in as well, some kind of streak functionality. But anyways, so this was supposed to be a profile review for Day, but one of their questions was like, how do you use the dojo to maximize your improvement? And I would say this is like the most important couple of things. Number one, you play classical games. You can also go to our tournaments and see some of our tournaments here if you want to get some games in. Actually, a great way to get some classical games in are the new round robins. If you guys haven't seen the round robins page, these have been actually very, very popular. Here in the 900 to 1,000 cohort, we've already got one round robin tournament that was completed. A second one is currently ongoing. You guys can see the cross table here. So these are all players in the cohort. They signed up for the round robin, and now they're scheduling their games against each other. So these are super, super popular so far. We've got some stats, which is interesting. And we've got a wait list here. So Jesse just did a video on these round robins. I think they're very, very cool. The way they work is once one fills up with like 10 players or so, the wait list opens up for the second one. As people join the wait list, as soon as they get to 10 players, that tournament starts as well. So round robins are just kind of an ongoing thing. The big benefit about them is that you get a chance to play serious classical games against other like-minded improvers. Because you guys know, whenever you like go to chess.com or Lichess and you queue up for a classical game, you're usually getting someone that's blitzing or you're getting someone that's cheating. It's like you want to have some serious opponents. So I would say sign up for a round robin, and that's a great way to get a lot of good classical games in against players of your level and start figuring out where some of your weaknesses are and where you can improve. And maybe you're underrated. Maybe you're underrated at the 900 to 1,000 cohort. Maybe your tactical work is about to pay off, but you wouldn't know it because you're not playing and testing yourself. So this really goes for everyone. You got to play to test yourself. It's very, very important. No training plan is complete without some element of playing and testing yourself against strong opponents. Okay, makes sense? Makes sense. Bale? Bale. Let's see. So playing, that was the first part. The second part I just showed with the game annotator. Once you have some games under your belt, then it's time to annotate those games. And that's going to be part of the algorithm. Like first the algorithm will tell you got to play games. Then once you've logged some games in as a task, the algorithm will tell you to annotate those games and then upload them to the database. So I would say those are your two most important tasks going forward in this January year 2025. And simultaneously, hopefully you have enough time to continue doing the tactics, because tactics, of course, very, very important. But you might discover that your issue is actually endgame. You're losing all your games in the endgame. And then, lo and behold, we have an endgame section you can jump to, start working through tasks there. So that's kind of how you handle the dojo training program, because it's a lot of tasks, but over time, hopefully you slowly get through all the different categories. You definitely don't have to do every single task, but you do want to hit every single category at least once, I would say every 3 months or so. That's kind of like how I would approach it. So that means like openings, tactics, middle games, end games. I said those in a weird order. Tactics, openings, middle games, end games. These are, I think, like the 4 main categories, and we're playing constantly, right? So with those 4 main categories, I think we should be trying to work on them at least once every 3 months. Tactics, hopefully for the whole 3 months, and then one of the focuses at a time. Openings, middle games, end games. Choosing one of those to work on over the course of a couple weeks, then switching to something else. Okay, Day. Hopefully that helps. And yeah, good luck. I've followed you, so I look forward to seeing you logging some classical games. I'll be checking up on you in 6 weeks. If you are not on your way to playing some classical games, annotating those games, I'll be writing you a very strongly worded message being like, what's going on? Alrighty. Next up, Poker Vein. Looks like we got a couple game reviews here. But actually, Clutch was in the chat. So let me start with Clutch because you're here. And Clutch, did you whisper the game or send it via Discord? Let me check our Twitch. Yes, I got your game here. And it's already in the Dojo database. Awesome. Okay, let's take a look. They should come up with fireproof housing. I agree. That sounds like a good idea, not gonna lie. I don't know how possible that is, but that sounds hard actually. I don't know how you would do that. I don't know if it's possible actually, but I would support the idea. Okay, this game here, rated classical game, looks like game in 60 plus 30. I'm not sure if this was OTB or online. But let's take a look. Okay, E3 poison. I know this stuff. Forgetting prep at this point. And yeah, you're pretty sure it's CD and D4. But you're not sure why. Yeah, so I think CD here makes sense. A lot of times white plays C takes D5 on C5 to fix the structure. So black has to decide whether to take with the knight or with the pawn. If with the knight, then we can actually get some interesting attacking ideas here with like queen C2, H4, bishop D3, knight to G5. It's not the easiest position to play. You got to throw an A3 somewhere. But white can get some pretty nice attacking play with something like this. I've had a couple of games like that. But generally black takes with the pawn, and then yeah, white's idea is to play D4. And the point is you're trying to leave yourself with a nice structure where black has this isolated queen pawn. And then you can play against it and you have a small plus. So the issue with playing D4 here is that black can avoid it by taking on D4 and C4 themselves. I'm not sure which way. Maybe this way first. Maybe this way first is better. And then let's say white takes with the bishop, black takes here. Maybe white takes with the knight. White's still fine, but black is also fine because black doesn't have this weakness. And I think black can often get a pretty comfortable game here. So like A6, B5, bishop comes to B7, knight D7, queen comes out, knight C5, etc., etc. So I think black is okay there if they did that. Opponent went knight C6, so again, yeah, I would take here probably, and then develop, let's say bishop to E2, and at some point either we take on C5 or black takes on D4, and black is going to end up with the IQP, and I think white should be comfortable there. So bishop E2, now black takes, and goes knight to E4. I would have just taken, again, actually not necessarily, you don't have to take, because now black is the one that has like the better structure, because now whenever white takes, black can take back with the piece. Only thing we're maybe concerned about is white pushing C5, but I don't think that's so dangerous with this bishop. Knight E4 is a surprising move, but maybe not so bad. Castles. Takes bishop F6. Queen D2. To me it seems like things are close to equal. Oh, but now we're going H4. Okay. H5. Probably fine, honestly. A lot of times like this kind of thing is okay. Rook D1. But we do have the hanging pawns. So we have to be wary that, yeah, black is putting some pressure here. Knight E5, knight D6. H6. Okay, things get kind of sharp here. Bishop D3, F4. Now takes. F5. Takes here. Bishop D5. Oh, wait, and we're already out of time. So, wow, let's look at the clock graph. Oh boy, like we can see where both players, dang, used all their time. It was like from move 10 to move 20, 22. It's like very clear that both players were, and there weren't like huge tanks here, but it kind of slowly dwindled down here. Somewhat unnecessarily. I would say we probably spent a little bit too much time in this phase of the game because the position's not very tactical, so we shouldn't be taking really big things on every move. Yeah, H5, 16 minutes. Almost 17 minutes. Okay, yeah, that's too long. That's this one right here. Move 15. Boom. And then rook AD1, 10 minutes on that. So with these two moves, we lost like half our time, like almost half an hour. Opponent was 2040 FIDE, 700 points high rated. Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. For context, there's no one on the planet 700 points high rated. I guess some of the weaker engines maybe. All right, 700 points is a lot, but I definitely think the time management here was not great because situation is not that tactical and you want to save your time for when things really get concrete, this is still kind of quiet position, right? So we basically have to pick a plan and go with that. Now, your pawns are kind of queenside focused, right? So I feel like the plan should be to support these pawns, like maybe putting the rooks on c1 and d1, maybe looking to advance c5 and possibly building a queenside majority. That's definitely a strategic threat you might throw in. I actually do like your rook on e1 as is because it kind of helps you put the knight on e5. So I'm not totally sure, honestly, about h4, h5. It doesn't feel like a position where white is really attacking here. Instead, I actually think you should have just supported this one. Maybe bishop f1 to open up the rook. Maybe knight e5 somewhere. Maybe knight e5 and then putting the bishop on. Like you can start with knight e5 and then bishop f3. And then actually, yeah, looking for c5 somewhere, I think is a pretty reasonable plan. But yeah, once we get very low on the clock, then the game, goes up in the air. Now, thankfully, the opponent was also spending time. So I feel like we played this part very well. Especially given the opponent is like so much higher rated, like you definitely held your own. But now we're down to 3 minutes. This is really where we would have liked to have kept more time, because now things are really complicated. So bishop b5. Things get super sharp here. Bishop takes e5. We take back with the rook. If pawn takes, there's queen c5 check. But we move the king somewhere. Take bishop. We go f6. But I don't know if white's winning here. No. Excuse me. White's winning. Yeah. That's not easy to calculate, especially with a minute on your clock, right? Very, very hard to see that. From what I can imagine is you saw DE queen c5 check. I'm losing the bishop. No, thank you. Rook takes e5, right? If we had more time, though, maybe we're able to see all the way through to f6. I guess there's also an option to take on e8. But black gives a check, saves the bishop. Rook takes, and f6 again at the end. Yeah, nice resource. I don't know if black is losing here because there's queen g3. So I don't know if this one is working. Looks like black is saving this one. Or I mean, if we're going for the endgame, then here black I think is winning. Two bishops are just gonna be really strong. But I do like DE5. To me, this looks really nice. Question, was bishop D3 instead of H4 possibility? Yeah, let me see. So, bishop D3 also really reasonable move. I kind of like the bishop out of the way because on D3, it's kind of blocking your queen. So maybe at some point, black you might have an issue with the D pawn. So I feel like the bishop is maybe better either on F3 where it challenges this diagonal, or on F1 where it's just kind of tucked away, and not blocking your queen, keeping C4 defended, not blocking the queen. I think it's reasonable. Probably my first move would just be rook c1, just getting the final piece into the game. Starting with this, I guess black goes bishop b7, and I think knight e5 you could consider, bishop f1, knight e5 followed by bishop f3. You can also even think about c5, I think even as early as here. Because if black takes, you take. This structure, of course, would be very double-edged, but as long as you're not allowing them to just immediately crush you with d4, you do have some really ambitious play on the queen side. So I don't know, you'd have to check this one, but it feels like, yeah, if you wanted to be aggressive, this is definitely an opportunity like that. But yeah, interesting game. Sorry it didn't go your way in the end, but I think it was at first, I think mainly the time management, I would say, but overall still a good game. If you have any other questions on it, please let me know, or forever hold your peace. Yeah, so I thought the play would be connected with more queenside play. So either this plan with c5 to advance the queenside majority, like with b4, a4, connected with knight e5, bishop f3. That would, I think, be the main plan, actually. So I said either, but at some point you want to try to push c5 and use your majority. And then there's a number of moves I think you can make to kind of achieve that. And the reason for that is, like, at any moment black can take, and you've got what we call hanging pawns that need attention. So another move I would consider after rook c1 is like just getting this bishop out of the way so that your rook is supporting the pawn, or even like bishop b4, rook d1, etc. If black were to, let's say, take here and play this, then I would really think about sliding this rook over to d1 just to make sure there's a rook behind both of these pawns, and then maybe bishop b4 or bishop b2. And it's a definitely very dynamic position. It's like the classic example of a double-edged thing, where it's like your pawns do control a lot of squares and a lot of space, and if you can break somewhere with like d5, then it's nice, but at the same time they're also under pressure, so it's double-edged. But if allowed and you can push c5, then I think that might be that would be the main plan, I think, to play for here, is again pushing that queenside majority. Yeah. Okay, hopefully that all makes sense. Okay, and then we had Poker Vein and Truck's Core with the game reviews. But Poker Vein, I'm not sure which game actually I was supposed to review, because it's not in the comments. And I don't think they messaged me on Discord or anything. So I'm going to have to check on that. Poker Vein, if you're out there, let me know. And then Truck Score, I think, did mention which game they wanted, but let me go check the posting on that real quick. Truck Score. Would love if you could review my latest game I published against Porth Cressa. Awesome. All right, let's find a Truck Score in the dojo. Go to scoreboard, search users. We also have an amazing stats page, by the way, on the scoreboard, where you can see the total rating change across the dojo, average rating change, total time spent, 90,000 hours, average time spent, top cohorts crushing it here. Let's go 2400 cohort. That's us. That's mostly Jesse logging 600 hours of reading my system. Number of graduations, average time to graduate, etc., participants, so on and so forth. Okay. And then we have our search. And Truck Score here. Oh, Truck Score actually has two accounts. Truck score. I don't know if you knew that, but it looks like you have 2 accounts. So make sure you're not paying for 2 accounts. All right, here we go. Here's Truck's 27-year-old computer engineer, recreational powerlifter. Nice. Trusting the program. Let's go. Okay, beautiful heat map. Looks like we've been putting in a lot of work since last month, December. Already got some badges. Fantastic. And they just wanted to look at their most recent game against Pruess. So this was rated classical game, I think, on Lee Chess. Yeah, my system and poker rates, exactly. 45-minute game plus 30 second increments. Dojo round robin has been a great way to get some games in. This is actually the first game I'm analyzing from the famous Dojo round robins. Here we go. Proof of concept. Okay, advanced French. Bishop d7, I think not something I've seen. a6. c4. Yeah, I'm not sure how I would deal with this one. Okay, black wants to go bishop b5. Maybe a4. Just to... because bishop b5 is a positional threat to trade off white's good bishop. Maybe a4 to stop it would be logical. Because then black is kind of... But I don't know. Maybe there's some theory here where black now goes c5 and this is like a better version. Hard to say. Knight c3 is also possible. But then again, I would check c5 and what's going on here if you analyze this later on. c4 is also possible. But it allows black to take. And then, yeah, the bishop now gets a very nice diagonal, very good square on d5 as well. Yeah, a lot of French players do like to do this. I've usually seen it with like this move order, like c5, c3, let's say queen b6, knight f3, bishop d7, trying to play bishop b5 like this, which if I'm not mistaken is still very playable. Let's check here. Compy says white is only tiny bit better after bishop e2. But after bishop e2, yeah, bishop b5. Small advantage for white, nothing serious. Okay, engine gives some crazy engine line. Now we have to look at this. Now that the engine has suggested this insane thing. Takes, king f1, bishop c6. And it's saying white is better in this position because a4, and I guess black's bishop on f2 is in trouble, even though we lost the pawn. So e6, e5. Okay, now I'm just like really going down the rabbit hole because I'm trying to understand what the heck is going on here. It says white's better here, guys. It says white is 0.3 better. 0.4. Tiny advantage for white, even though we're down a pawn. So we're down a pawn, right? If we were equal material, I would say, okay, no problem. But we're down a pawn. So that means it's like we have a full pawn's worth of compensation according to computer and then some. Fascinating. So, yeah, that's the line I remember seeing a little bit about. This one I haven't seen as much. But to me, a4 looks like the principled move. Yeah, something with black's bishop being kind of funky and trapped on f2 there. That's my guess. Computer calculates very far in advance. That's the issue. Okay, so c4, bishop c6, knight c3. Black has this nice square. Yeah. But I still like our position. In fact, one thing I would consider right away was to play knight e4 right here and avoid piece trades, because white, the main thing white has that's going for us is we have more space. If you have more space, that means you want to avoid trades. So knight e4 actually I would just immediately jump to, since black didn't take on c3, and we definitely don't. We pretty much never want to take on d5. Because we kind of have the equivalent of an isolated queen pawn, where this d pawn is just long-term weak. No pawns can defend it. And so, okay, we're actually totally fine if they take on c3. Like, we're happy there. But we also do want to keep pieces on the board so we can go after the king side, like h4, bishop g5 kind of thing. Okay, bishop b3. Knight d7. And then we took with the bishop on d5 and then with the knight. But then we allowed this. I don't know. I like your light squared bishop on this diagonal. I don't think this was the right piece to trade off. It didn't end up mattering, but I would have taken like this. And then on ed5, your bishop comes here. And this is a really nice structure for white, as long as you can get your f-pawn moving. Maybe that's hard to do. Maybe not. Castles, knight d2, and just play f4, knight f3 back. f5, and that's a very nice kingside pawn majority. So yeah, I definitely think this was better. But it doesn't end up mattering because black just takes on d5 with the bishop. e6, okay. Take, castles, bishop d2. What happened here? So first of all, I like white structure. I don't know if we needed e6 because takes castles, and then we actually didn't really get anything special here, right? Like black played bishop f6. They also maybe could just go knight f6 and knight e4, c6, bishop d6. To me, black's position looks very, very solid here. So I don't really like e6. I think we should be trying to get this pawn to f5. And so on that note, I would have either considered knight d2, castles f4, next move knight f3 back, and then f5, and bishop e3, get the rook out, etc. Yeah, that seems like the main choice. Or maybe like bishop e3 first, and then knight d2, and then f4 again. Or maybe h3. And go knight h2 like this, and then f4. But this is slower. I'm not sure why would do that over knight d2 exactly. Queen b3 is okay. It was okay, but yeah, knight b6, and then I'm not sure if we're so happy after queen b3. Chess Sharks with the raid. Hello, Chess Sharks. How you guys doing? I am going through a couple games here. Thank you for following. We're just looking at this game. It's a pretty interesting structure, actually. Takes. Oh, yeah, I'm tired too. Yeah. We've got some games to look at. This last thing I was just looking at here is like white played e6, and I was thinking, don't really love the change in structure. I was thinking maybe white should have played knight d2 and then launched the f pawn. So e6, bishop d2, bishop f6. Now it feels like black definitely is able to catch up in development and even try to take over the initiative possibly. So knight c4, go knight e5. Queen b5. Wow. I feel like there's a lot of options for black. For example, taking here looks kind of interesting. And then, I don't know, maybe like c6, something like this. Or b5. This would be very double-edged. But let's see. The notes say knight takes d2 was also possible. Whoa. Knight d2, knight d7, knight b3, takes. And we end up in an equal rook endgame. Of course. So black went queen b5. We takes. And white ends up with extra pawn. Though the extra pawn hard to convert, but still, extra pawn doesn't seem like that was totally necessary from black's point of view. So then we get this endgame, and white is kind of slowly grinding it. Trades one rook, trades a second rook, and the question is this bishop endgame offering white good winning chances? Feels like it should. It is an extra pawn on the king side, so it feels like white should have some very reasonable chances here. Bishop c5 starts pushing this one, h3. Now both players in time trouble here. Yeah, it looks like a very difficult endgame for black to hold. Now king starts walking over. King f4, good. Now black, of course, cannot take, right? Because we're exchanging, pushing f6. So h5, bishop b6. Oh, now king comes into e4. Kind of a nice zugzwang here, almost zugzwang, right? Where it's like anything that black moves, white can take advantage. Maybe bishop e7 still, and black would be kind of holding archipelago. That's good. That's good. Archipelago. That's real good. d5. Now should be winning. Now white is just breaking through. So I think black was maybe still holding here, though it's still very unpleasant. Although at least here I don't see exactly how white wins just yet. Though I don't know, maybe here, and then with the idea of putting the bishop on e5. So it takes, check, then f6. But here we gave up our extra pawn, so this would be kind of this would be still kind of unclear, I think. So yeah, it definitely wasn't so easy, but I think it was unpleasant for black to hold it. Thank you for following, folks, by the way. Thank you for following. This is Dojo. If you're new to the channel, we try to keep it pretty instructive here. We do a lot of game reviews. We've got a training program. This is our site where people log in. They follow the training program, do the different tasks. They upload their games, and then they annotate those games, and we often go through them on the channel. So if you're interested in chess improvements, I recommend checking out the site, ChessDojo.club. You can make a free account, connect some of your ratings, start tracking some tasks, seeing how much time you're spending on different elements of the game, and yeah, taking your chess seriously in the new year. So once white got d5 in, I think it was, yeah, smooth sailing from here. Beautiful, beautiful. So takes, bishop d4, f6, king walks in. Oh, bishop b6. Oh, welcome to the dojo. And yeah. So nice endgame squeeze at the end. Really shows that you can take an endgame that's probably very marginal, but just kind of slowly milk it, move by move, trade by trade, and eventually get something out. So it was like here where black went for this pawn down endgame. Maybe things weren't so bad for black, but it was like a long-term squeeze for white, and pretty good one. All right, Truck Score, thanks for the submission. Hopefully I gave some good insights on that game. Just in terms of like some of the structures. Well, endgame, I think you played well. Maybe opening middle game definitely could have been better, because I think we probably could have punished this opening more. One thing was to play like 94, avoiding the trades, and then of course once we got the chance to take, I think this knight d2 thing, f4, knight f3. To me, that maybe it's not the best plan, but I feel like somehow we got to get that pawn to f4 now that we have this fantastic kingside pawn majority. So that's definitely the plan that I would explore here for white. Alrighty, Cat, very cool, very cool. Yeah, do check it out. Hopefully you enjoy. Okay, so we got clutch, and we got trucks, and poker vein. I wasn't sure what game they wanted me to look at. So folks, that might actually be it for the games for today. If anyone has questions, because I know a lot of you guys just got here, you got questions about the training program or what we do, I can definitely take a couple of those. But then otherwise probably going to be wrapping it up. Oh, you got the daily, you watch the daily puzzle videos. Nice. I'm not going to lie, it's a bit later right now than when I normally record those. So I feel like my voice is a bit. I've got morning voice right now. it's been a long day probably for me. Divine King just joined Chess Dojo. Nice. Welcome to the dojo. Grand Prix, Bishop B5, Bishop C4. I don't have much experience there, so I couldn't tell you. But maybe it's not bad to mix it up and try both, so that you're not always playing the same thing, and then it'll be harder for opponents to prepare for you. So, what do you think about that? Nice. But yeah, I haven't really played it. Maybe I'd say Bishop B5. From the black side, I think maybe the Bishop B5 stuff is more annoying. How do you play queenless middle games better? Well, that's a tough one. I mean, first, you got to probably study the queenless middle games. I think that's kind of my approach to improving your understanding in any kind of position, is looking up examples and then studying from like master level players. So if you can find some players that typically go into those kinds of middle games, whether it's like Berlin queenless middle game, like famous Berlin endgame, or some other ones, then maybe it's worth looking at. I think a good player to study is Ulf Andersson, just to name one. I think he was kind of known for like wanting to go into a lot of end games early on, and then grinding his opponents out. So maybe a study of Ulf Andersson's games would be fruitful. Okay, folks. I think we are getting there. Thanks for tuning in. I think that also wraps up all the reviews, because these reviews we are doing because of our recent charity stream. People donated, so I was going through their profiles and their games, offering insights. I think we are basically done. We have one or two left, but I'm not really sure what to look at, so I'll try to figure that out. Oh, you got the chessable course. Well, in-game studies 101, I hope. In-game studies. That's a good course. That's a good course. Although I've done a couple of courses on chessable now. So I did one also on technique, and I think I did one on tactics. I'm doing another one on tactics soon. But yeah, in-game studies, that's the course that I made for chessable and was exclusively on chessable. Nice. Yeah, that's a good course. I mean, I think that's I think it holds up very well. I think that'll be an evergreen course. Nice. Always useful. Endgame puzzles. Oh, good. Exactly the type of player you want to model your stuff on. Good. Yeah. Ulf was a great endgame guy. Absolutely. Yeah, folks. Yeah, sorry, I'm tired. We're approaching 3 hours now. So I think we're gonna call it a night. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for following. Hopefully we'll see you again. There's actually 3 of us on this channel, not just me. There's also Jesse and David. So they'll probably be streaming sometime this week. Folks, join the training program. Also join the Discord. We got a free Discord open to everyone. Check it out if you want to talk chess improvements, chess news, drama with other